Hi everyone, this is Paris Debono of the Fortune Teller Shop, and this is Ivan the Magnificent.
Hello and welcome to the Fortune Teller live show coming to you live from Sydney, Australia. Thank you very much for watching what is now called the Fortune Teller live show.
Welcome.
And Paris, you came up with that name yourself, I believe. Was it your previous mentor actually had a problem with you?
My previous teacher didn't want me to call my shop the Fortune Teller
Okay,
because
yeah.
she thought that was a condescending thing to call myself.
Well, normally that would be, I could be wrong, but I feel that's associated with like toothless hags. Is that just me, or would that be the gypsy Anna coming out in me? I'm not sure.
I think she didn't like the name because she thought it undergraded like what we do. She
Yes.
thought like she was a tarot reader and then became an astrologer, and I think she thought the word fortune teller was a bit like cheap, you know.
Is that the normal pathway to becoming a fortune teller, that you would start with the cards and go to the stars, or would you start with the stars, or what's the normal?
Most of the readers I met when I first began this job, most of them were just tarot people. None of
Okay.
them, none of them really, uh, none of the ones that I knew. Which when I first began doing fortune telling as a job or tarot reading as a job, I worked at Parkley Markets, and there was nine nine readers altogether. There was me and eight older women.
It's got sort of scam call center vibes when you say there was 9 people
Yeah.
doing divination.
Well, it was interesting, but have you ever been to Parkley Markets?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
oh yes, oh yes,
Um,
definitely.
Parkley Markets, it was called Centre Stage. We were in the area called Centre Stage. Now, what
Okay.
Centre Stage was, so the market's really big, right? But in the centre there was a stage where they would often do shows or talent shows or whatever,
Okay.
and the fortune tellers were all around the corners of the stage. So there was every corner had a fortune teller tarot shop, and
Close,
so
close to the bonfire where
yeah,
you're
yeah, we
eventually
burned the
going to.
witches.
Yeah, right.
So we were on every corner. There was four corners, and then there was another like two ladies in between. So there
Okay.
was two, 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 two. So that's eight. Yeah. So there was 9 or 10 of us. Yeah.
And you were saying that you were the one that you were the sort of the odd one
I
out.
was the odd one out because I was the only male,
Yes.
and I was young, like I was in my 20s, and they were all in their 40s.
So, I mean, I could be wrong, but I think as a general rule, like as you get older, you become, more held in more esteem, I guess, in this career, such as, like a psychologist might as well. That life experience actually makes a big difference too,
Yeah.
to how you read and how you can actually, divine things. Would I be right in saying that?
Yeah, yeah. Well, experience, and then people recommend you. They tell their friends if they think you're good. So it's kind of all of that. It's experience, time. I think I've also mellowed out a lot too. When I was younger, I was more reactive. If I had a skeptic, I'd be really reactive and activated by it. If I had some skeptical person trying to challenge me.
In what way? I mean, have you got a story of someone who was quite skeptical that you were able to?
Yeah, I have many, 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 many. I remember one time this I was booked to do a party. It was an events party, and it was for a very famous jeans, like jeans brand.
Okay.
And so what I was doing was we were doing 5-minute readings. So everyone gets a so the brand paid me my money, and then everyone at the party was able to have a 5-minute reading. And I remember I had this guy. He came in. He was kind of my age, about my age, and he sat down, and he said, I said, oh, we're doing 5-minute readings today. So did you have a question or a topic you want me to answer for you?
Yes.
And he said, oh, you should, you tell me you're the fortune teller. I was,
Trick
Okay,
question.
here
Yeah.
we go. And then he said, "You tell me whatever you feel." And I remember he had, you have, I said, I think something like the heart came up, and then the scissors. It would have been equivalent to the scissors. So it was like love got
Yes.
cut.
Yes.
So I said to him, "It looks like your heart has gone through a breakup." And he said, "How did you know that?" And I said, "Well, I'm reading your cards. It's pretty obvious the heart got cut."
Now that's an interesting observation there. What are you tapping into? Do you think it's the energy, isn't it, around the person, or what is it that where does that type of divination actually stem from? Is it the universe?
I
Is
think
it,
it's the universe is always speaking to us, but we don't, people that are not trained in it don't know that it's happening. Like, when you get more and more attuned to it, you'll start to see things, answers, like,
So you're saying you can see things? You see things
see
within the car.
signs.
Okay, so you don't have actual visions per se, because I know some people when they do, clairvoyant work, they will have visions.
Some people will have visions. Some people will have instincts. You'll get a feeling. Something might remind you of something.
Well, my daughter had a dream, a very vivid dream that actually 4 days later came true.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was quite shocking to me. But we were so connected, psychically connected at that stage. So
Yeah.
I always rely on my daughter's
Intuition.
visions and dreams.
Yeah, it could come through intuition, could come through dreams. When I first began doing tarot, I was getting a lot of intuitive visions
Yes.
and even names of people.
Okay.
But then when I met my teacher, my first teacher, she said to me, if you learn a divination system like tarot, then you'll find that you'll be able to channel those things better. Because I was getting random things
Yeah.
and it wasn't making much sense at the time. So tarot or divination helps you to focus things and also turn it on and off. Like I used to find before I learned tarot, I would get intuitive, but it would be I'd be at a bus stop or something, and it would be kind of like the wrong time.
Okay.
Whereas when I started to do divination, I would sort of sit down, and then I would have the client, and then I would interact with them, and then I'd be able to get messages for them. But people in the ancient days, they would read bird signs, they would read clouds, they would read coffee grounds, they would read the way that the trees are blowing in the wind. Every was a message from the universe. But us modern people, we very disconnected from nature.
Yeah.
So we don't notice things. I mean, the ancient people knew the season, they knew when to plant things, they knew the moon cycles, they knew the almanac of the farmers, knew everything about nature. They knew when it was going to rain because of the way the clouds were. These days we don't have that. Modern people don't really do that.
So are you saying that everyone has that possibility to create their own divination system?
Yeah,
per se?
yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay, right. So once you have a skill in divination, whether it be tarot or astrology or something, then that will open you up to creating other methods.
Yeah, like I can tell you an example as well. Like one time I was walking home. This is when I had my shop in Surrey Hills. I was walking home, and this woman stopped me in the park on the way home. There's a park on my way home, and she sort of said, "I heard you're a psychic," and I said, "Well, yeah." I said, "I have the fortune teller shop, which is just down the road," and she said, "If you're a psychic, tell me about my daughter." So here I am with my gym bag, and this woman stops me, in the pathway, and when she told me about her daughter, right behind her was a bird that flew to the left, and I was looking at her. She was in front of me, but behind her I saw this bird going towards the left, and that usually means like someone leaving in bird divination.
Oh, right, yes.
And I said to her, "Oh, you may have had someone that left your life suddenly." and because it was on her left side, that usually means female. Right is male, left is female. And I said, I think it's someone who left very suddenly they left in a bad way, like not a happy way, because what happened was her daughter recently they had a big bust up,
Right.
and the daughter actually moved interstate, and she disconnected, communication. So I basically said to her, "You've had a female a female who's connected to you or related to you has suddenly left in a bad way," and she was like, "Okay, I'm going to come and see you for a reading." So that was me reading what I had available, which was the signs around it.
Okay, and I want to know with bird divination, what does it mean when they crash into your windscreen when you're driving?
Well, that's usually a bad.
Yeah, that means you're not thinking the right way.
Yeah, could be that. Death of a bird is not a good sign.
So this leads me on to the next question, which would be, this sounds a little bit like the idea of luck to me. Like, I'm interested in the idea of luck, and there's many cultures throughout the world. Like, for example, China, they really have a very strong idea about luck.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think luck is really basically, if you were to boil it down, it means that you have things in alignment. You have your energies in alignment with your purpose, and then you're actually attracting more opportunities and possibilities to you. So can I ask you, the idea of luck, like I know that it's unlucky in the West to have a black cat cross your path, for example.
It depends which way the cat goes.
Oh, okay.
Like if the cat's going from left to right, it's more seen as positive. If it's going from right to left, it's more seen as negative.
And are those things rooted in divination as well? I mean, I just came up with that one, but
yeah, they are
under a
divination.
ladder
They are well, they're divination superstition. Some of them, like black cats walking, that's more like a divination thing. So, in the olden times, when they saw a cat, they would look at its behavior. So if it was walking a certain way, that could mean something. Like if you get a ginger cat, it could mean you're going to have a visitor, like a charming visitor.
Okay.
If there's a white cat, it's an illness in the family.
Oh, right.
If there's a grey cat, it's luck. If there's a black cat, it's more... It depends what country, because Europeans see black cat as bad luck, whereas Americans see a black cat crossing your path as good luck.
Okay.
So there's some variations in different cultures.
And what is your take on luck? Do you believe in luck?
Well, I think luck can twist and turn. So sometimes something bad happens, something good comes out of it. In the moment you might think it's bad, but then like for an example, I always say to people the best thing that ever happened to my career is that I lost my job, because I used to work in different shops. I used to work in 3 different new age stores, and in 1 week they all went out of business.
Oh, right.
Well, not out of business. One of them I moved far away from. One of them caught on fire and had to close down, and the other one closed down because the business just went under in 1 week.
Right.
So then I used to work for 3 different new age stores, and then all of a sudden I was working for none.
Yes.
And then I was forced to open my own shop.
Yes.
So it was bad luck that these 3, who would have known 3 different brands, 3 different stores.
Yeah.
Not owned by the same company. They were 3 different companies. All of them were unviable for me for various reasons.
So that was something sort of that
was kind of fated.
Yeah, created a hole, and you had to fill the hole.
Well, I was thinking, okay, the universe doesn't want me to do this anymore. I might have to stop.
It was your personal 5 of Pentacles moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Out
but
in the cold.
You flipped it into the Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah. Well, then what happened was I didn't work in any shops for about a few months, and then the idea of opening my own shop started growing. And then I thought, and one of my best friends kept saying to me, "Open your own shop. You can do it."
Yeah. And
I kept thinking that I couldn't do it. It was going to be too expensive and all that. And eventually, I did, and then I've been doing that ever since. So I opened my first shop in 2006, I think it was.
So in the tarot we have the wish card, which is is it the 9 of Cups is the wish card?
Yeah, Nine of Cups, also Nine of Pentacles is sort of a little bit of
Yeah.
a wish card too.
Yeah, so are those cards that would indicate luck?
I think
What?
that indicates something that's going to go well for the person. Yeah,
Yeah.
something's going to be a little bit. See, in astrology, the lucky god is Jupiter,
Okay.
and also in astrology charts, we have a thing called part of fortune, which sort of tells you also where there might be a bit of luck at play.
Okay.
So in astrology, Jupiter's known as the god of luck anyway. So
Right.
he's the god of winning and luck and gambling and chance sort of thing.
Okay, so I guess that brings us on to our next question, which would be, what's the lotto numbers this week?
Well, you know what? My father always asks me that, and I say to him, I say to
What do
my
you say to
father,
him? What do you say?
I
to
say
your
to
dad?
him, if you were meant to win, then I will give you the correct numbers because it's your fate.
Okay.
But if you are trying to trick destiny, it won't work.
Uh-huh.
So if
Right.
you are fated to win the lottery, then I or you will just choose the right numbers, or I'll be able to give you the correct numbers. But if you are not fated, no matter what number I give you, isn't going to work. So he doesn't really like that. He doesn't go with that. He doesn't believe that.
Yeah, that's a sort of a
Cop out.
yeah. It's a damned
he
if you do, damned if you
He
don't.
doesn't like that one. He just thinks that I should give him the numbers, you know.
Well, you always know the numbers afterwards,
Yeah,
so they
yeah.
eventually do come out, so in the end. So,
Yeah, well, but referring back to the first story, so this guy said to me, okay, at the party. So if we go back to the party, so I got the heart and the scissors, and I said something like, "It looks like you've had a heart breakup." And he said, "Who told you that?" And I said, "Well, can't you see it in your card? It's very obvious."
yeah.
I said, "You don't have to be a card reader to be able to decipher that."
No.
Then he said, "Okay, then tell me something else." So then he got, I think, look, I can't remember the exact cards. He got something equivalent to Pegasus,
Okay.
and then he had something like the ring. So I said to him, someone's cut away their love from you. It was quite a deep relationship, and that woman has traveled abroad, something like that. And he just said, "How did you know that?" And I said, "Well, can't you see the cards? It's here."
Yeah.
And then he basically still was skeptical. And I said to him, "Well, the cards are talking to you." I said, "It's not me, it's the cards. I'm just interpreting the message."
Yeah.
And it was 5 minute reading, and then his 5 minutes was up.
Yeah.
And I said, "Is there any other question? Because there are other people waiting." And he said, "No, I still don't believe it." I said, "That's fine." And then he went.
So you basically just confirmed to him, like you didn't provide him any guidance at all. You pretty much
No, I
just
just
summarised
proved
it.
what had happened to him, which
Yeah.
was he had a breakup and she left and she went abroad. And yeah, something like that. It was along those lines. It was very simple, and I explained it in the images of the cards. And he couldn't really refute it, but he just wanted to be stubborn. Okay, well, that's the Fortune Teller Show, and this is Paris Debono of the Fortune Teller Shop, and this is Ivan the Magnificent.
Yeah. All the
And
best.
we'll see you next time.
Take-